Hey, listen, I quit. Yeah, I'm going into stocks.
Name of the game. Move the money from your client's pocket into your pocket. But if you can make your client's money at the same time, it's advantageous to everyone, correct? No.
No one is paying attention.
It's unbelievable.
Have to act now.
God, this is intimate. I feel like I'm financially inside of you or something.
Okay.
I have 5 houses and a condo.
I'm considering going long on April wheat. What do you think, Valentine?
Hi guys, welcome to the Greedy Trader channel. Well, I'm not exactly greedy, as most of you old watchers of the channel will testify. I have the most conservative approach to trading. It's just a nice parody idea from the Gordon Gekko mantra. There are only 2 kinds of traders, the greedy ones and the fearful ones.
Greed, for lack of a better word, is good. Greed is right. Greed works.
Those of you who are new to the channel, this is where you can learn how to really trade like a professional. Every video I make is packed with real examples with before and after scenarios, so you can see that it is simply a question of sticking with the plan, not changing it because you're having an emotional meltdown. No! Hi guys. Welcome back. As always, I really appreciate you guys coming here, listening to me, and thinking that I provide you with some degree of value. That's actually really cool from my perspective. So thank you. If you're new to the channel, then this is probably the most wholesome channel you're going to ever come across regarding trading. Most channels regarding trading are going to be focused on promoting a degree of FOMO, greed, some other kind of excitement, something that's generally not wholesome for your mentality. That said, it's social media, so the more glamorous a lifestyle the trader can portray, the more incentive there is for the watcher like yourself to want to feel like they want to be a trader, because we're all in this for the money. But what a lot of people have to realize, that it's not just about the money, it's also about the work, and it's also about how much you're bringing to the table. Now, a lot of people are bringing significant capital to the table these days, and with the availability of prop firms, there is a route to access additional buying power, even if you don't have a lot of money. But that won't work either if you're not prepared and you don't have some kind of game plan or some kind of strategy going into these things. Because if you don't, then it doesn't matter how much buying power a prop firm gives you, it's not going to work out. We also know prop firm rules are very tight, so there's not a lot of wiggle room, because the prop firm doesn't necessarily want to be paying out tons and tons of traders. They want to pay out a few traders that are particularly good and have a particularly noticeable skill set. But off the back of these influencer types, they make it really accessible and say, oh right, it's really easy, this trading malark, you just have to do X, Y and Z, and that's that. Bob's your uncle. The fact of the matter is, that's not how it works, and it will never work that way. That's the bottom line. Prop firms are not necessarily this golden ticket, even for people who own prop firms. At the end of the day, you're looking at potentially 20% margins maximum that go to the prop firm itself after all expenses are paid out, and essentially all traders are paid out. It's no different from the broker model. Some of us who've been on the sell side of the business for a while understand how brokers work, what kind of margins are involved, and despite all the glamorous flashing lights, a lot of money gets spent on marketing, and at the same time, it's gradual, because traders just don't go in and lose money in a brokerage firm. It's not like that. A lot of people do lose money in a brokerage firm, but a lot of people make a shitload of money. And in my time, I've seen people make a lot of money. It is what it is, right? So the notion that you're going to follow an influencer that is promoting a degree of FOMO, and it's going to be beneficial to you, or you like to watch YouTube videos with a lot of flashing lights, then unfortunately, this is not one of those YouTube channels, right? This is a very wholesome YouTube channel. So the point of this video today was to talk about something that's not often talked about, and that's herd mentality. So we're talking here about the collective consciousness. or let's say the collective unconsciousness. Now again, as always, I'm going to default back to Carl Jung. Now I'm doing this because people often talk about psychology. Like, oh, psychology, it's all about psychology. To be absolutely fair, it's okay to talk about it all being about psychology, but how does a trader actually fix it? How do they become the version of themselves that becomes a better trader? I don't just believe, I fully know that you need a very, very peak performance type psychology and mentality, because trading is a performance sport, right? I call it a sport because that's really what it is. It's highly competitive, so it's very sporty in nature. But it's not like running track and field, but it's also like running track and field. Running track and field, you know, it's not your money running, it's your body. You're pushing your body to a high performance level. In trading, you're pushing your mind to a high performance level, because again, to follow your strategy, to remain disciplined, is all about emotional regulation, and that means you have to have essentially good mental regulation. And I think a lot of the time, that's what most traders struggle with in the beginning, is the emotional and mental regulation. And a lot of you know what I'm talking about, right? Because, you know, I get DMs consistently in my Discord server. By the way, the link is in the description below. So if you want to see a little bit more about what I do, follow some of the posts I put up, some of the trades that I will alert people to, and you'll see. Ever wanted a prop firm that would just fund you and you get to prove your ability? Meet Tradify, the futures prop firm doing just that. Choose from tailored funding programs that align with your trading style, offering account sizes up to $750,000 with the ability to go straight to funded account, skipping evaluations. Experience seamless trading with their integration of top-tier platforms like Tradeovate, providing powerful features and access to the latest technology in the futures market. Enhance your strategy with automated trade journaling, offering in-depth analysis to refine your performance. Follow a transparent path from evaluation to live funded accounts with clear rules to support you at every step. Start trading a fully funded account now with Tradify. Please use the link in the description below. It supports the channel and our sponsors. You get a sense, because I do this for a living, I do this every day. This is my world. This is it for me. Some of you got 9 to 5s, some of you got other things on the side. For me, trading is my business. I do a couple other things, but you know, trading is my primary business. So putting that into perspective, I've got Discord server where I put stuff up, right? Everyone knows I sell option premium for regular income. That makes a lot more sense, and some of you actually seen a couple of my positions here. So point in case, let's pivot. And by the way, we're going to talk about, I'm going to tell you stuff today that no one's ever going to tell you, right? And that should be value in itself. So for example, pivot out of this for a little bit. I've got position on Cisco currently, what I'm selling premium on. It's the May 16th, 55 strikes. Believe it is a 55 strikes. Oh, minute chart, come off that. Yeah, I'm on a 55 strike. Okay, so premium's doing pretty okay. Yeah, I'm going to work this on time decay, get this pivoted back down to 34 cents, and then start to liquidate those contracts or short cover those contracts. So I'm short puts, that's my position, running down. This triangle would disappear after 7 days. It's just the last 7 days worth of trades associated with this particular asset class. In this case, option contract. I've also got QCOM. I liquidated my AMD. Yeah, I covered that the other day for point in case. Again, my AMD was on it was the 80 strike. 80 puts. I'm long AMD cash stock as well. So again, I had this about $2.36. I covered it down here. It has this trade, but unfortunately not the entry because it's over the 7-day mark. That's just how IB's platform works. And I've got QCOM. Right, so I've made some decent money, because obviously I liquidated my AMD, and I've got QCOM on QCOM. I believe I am on the April 17th. I think I'm on the April 17th. Soon find out. Am I on the April 17th? Nope, I'm not on the April 17th, which means I'm going to be sitting somewhere. Let's run this one. Nope, not on the 140. Where am I? I think I'm on the 150s actually on QCOM. Yeah, I'm definitely on the 150s, but now I think I'm on the 150s. Just need to work out where I'm standing with this. Elevate your trading potential with E8, the best prop firm you've never heard of, where innovation meets opportunity. Access a wide range of markets from Forex to futures and more, all through their comprehensive evaluation programs. Tailor your trading journey with their customizable evaluation programs designed to align with your unique strategies and trading goals. Demonstrate your skills and swiftly transition to managing a funded account, earning up to 100% of the profits. Trade with confidence on their state-of-the-art platforms like CTrader, equipped with advanced tools and real-time data to improve your trading experience. Enjoy fast and reliable payouts with the ability to request your first payout in just 8 days. Join a thriving community of traders worldwide with 24 hours a day, 5 days a week support and valuable resources, all at your fingertips. I am super critical of prop firms, but E8 is definitely the best and has stood the test of time. So sign up now using the link in the description below to get 5% off your first evaluation. Do it now. Yeah, so okay, there we are. Right, so I'm on the May 16th, right? The 140 strikes. I've got to remember that. Right, so guys, forgive me, right? I sell a lot of premium, so sometimes I just forget what I've sold, right? And then I got to look for it. But in any case, call a spade a spade. There you go. So you can see it's an active position again. Entries over the last 7-day mark, so can't see the triangle, but call a spade a spade. Premiums doing quite well, right? I sold these babies about 470-ish. We're trading down here. There you go, right? So I just wanted to put things in perspective, right? So this is what I do. That's the point I'm trying to make. This is exactly what I do. I don't have any other purpose. This is my skill set. So going back to the idea of the collective unconsciousness. Now, Carl Jung, he looks at the collective unconsciousness from the perspective that it's shared memories, shared instincts that are common to all human beings. And the bedrock of this, or the foundation of this ideology, from his psychological approach, is archetypes. Because we are grouped into these 12 archetypes, they're going to influence our behavior, but they're going to do it as a group, because every human falls into one of these 12 archetypes. It doesn't matter who you are, you're going to reflect. So as soon as you find someone that resonates with you, as we say, usually you're going to be of the same archetype or close to, or a surrounding archetype that's similar. For example, a rebel will resonate with me, but so would a hero, right? So in the case of myself, for example, running this YouTube channel, most of you still listening to me are people who are probably rebel archetypes or heroes, where you're just pretty much, you're sick of all the other stuff going on and you want some real stuff. You want to be real, and so you're going to resonate with me, you're going to appreciate what I'm trying to tell you. But then if you're a different archetype, you're going to go with a different herd, right? So in trading we call this herd mentality, but that's the problem. Herd mentality can definitely hurt your trading. Now it's going to feel counterintuitive, because I'm telling you basically that don't follow me. Why are you even following me? Why are you listening to what I have to tell you? You shouldn't be, right? It's counterintuitive. I know everyone needs essentially someone to hold their hand and mentor them, but nobody needs someone to worship them. And that's the point I'm trying to make, because herd mentality becomes the strongest when people start to worship other individuals, right? And this happens easily. I'll give you a very good example. There's the internet phenomenon trader called ICT. Absolutely worships. It's pretty much a cult at this stage. And you have to kind of take a step back and think, well, his content might be great, but then take a step back and think, that's a herd, right? he's collected a lot of people just like him that resonate with him, but it's now created a herd mentality to just do exactly what he says without question, without thinking, hang on a second, let me look at this myself. You see, when I talk, if I'm mentoring someone, for example, I'm going to give them a lot of autonomy to look at whatever I say and break it down. Take some time away, go over it. Just don't do what it is I said all the time, right? Just take some time and just look at it, go through it, and ask me questions, if they're questions, right? And then I can answer them. There's pretty much everything, and it's not a brag. I pretty much know everything there is to know about markets. I'm sure there are going to be things I don't know, right? But I know a lot of things. So there's probably not a lot of things you're going to ask me that I'm not probably going to have an answer for you. I'm not going to know someone who has an answer to that. And if there are things I don't know, like I'm still trying to work out why trades can get cancelled in the option market or in any other market, for example. How can you have cancelled trades, right? There's supposed to be live trades. How can a live trade be cancelled? And no one could tell me, not even, people who've been in the business 30, 40 years, even they didn't know. I had to do a lot of digging. I got a semi-answer, but it's not a full answer. So that's just an example of I don't know everything, but I know a lot of things. The fact that I'm even bothered about condition codes, which a lot of you don't even know what that is, goes to tell you that obviously I know a lot about markets. But anyway, enough of bigging myself up about knowing about markets, but I genuinely do. So, a lot of people who work with me, I say, if you have a question, just ask me and I'm happy to answer, right? But I do want people to question things. I do want people, because you can't be a good trader if you don't have the ability to question things. So how's this herd mentality, how's it hurting your trading, right? Because a lot of you have already identified that these social media people that you follow are creating problems. Time and time again, traders will say, I was following this person and they said this, and I've lost a lot of money, or it's been a rough ride. What do I do? Well, the first thing you do is you unfollow everybody that is promoting to you to do something that you know that you don't know a lot about. But they're promoting it actively, that all you need to do is do X, Y, and Z and you're going to be great. All you need to do is follow my signals channel and you're going to be great. You've got to unfollow that stuff, because if you don't, you are getting caught up in the herd mentality. That's the reality of it. Now, there are practical steps, of course, to kind of escape this overarching herd mentality that seems to be plaguing everybody. And it's going to depend on your archetype. For example, if you are a hero from Jung's perspective, you're going to be likely that person who follows a famous investor, that whatever they say, you're going to go with it without questioning the decision. A good example is the guy from The Big Short, Michael Burry. He's got a Twitter page. And Michael Burry would come up and say, I think this whole market's going to crash. And by the afternoon, everyone, including some media personalities, are saying the whole market's going to crash. And then the market rallies 200 points. And they say, Michael Burry was wrong. The guy just made a tweet. You have no idea if he has a position in the market or not, whether he's long or short. He made a tweet, and without question, people have gone along with it. That's a classic example of herd mentality. And then I might get a call, or might get someone ask me what I think about the market, because there's word going about the market's going to crash. There's not word going about the market's going to crash. It's Michael Burry's tweet that has entered the herd, the psyche of the herd, largely people who are of the hero archetype, and they tend to be more obvious in social media because of their archetype. They're heroes. They get off with posting large profits, showing off who they are, their lifestyle, because that's just that archetype. It is what it is. And most of the time, even the most conservative types that tend to be more of the mother type archetype, where they've got this desire for safety, they might start to panic and start to plow into potential safe assets. A good example is bonds. You see people buying bonds going out of fashion, and you're thinking, but wait, aren't we in a high interest rate environment? This doesn't sound right. But that's what I'm talking about. Everyone just rushes to their different herd or their different unconscious selves, and then that's it. So it's something that we definitely as traders have to guard against, right? And that's really important because it's going to be a struggle. The other big issue that exists out there around herd mentality is social proof. Like, I just don't understand this. Right? There's this overwhelming cry out for social proof that, oh, hang on a second, I made $1 million last week trading Bitcoin, so Bitcoin's the best thing to trade. Even if you don't understand anything about Bitcoin, just buy Bitcoin because it's going to go to the moon. Because I can prove it, I've made $1 million. Or, oh, you said X, Y, and Z, prove it, show me your P&L. And you're like, hang on a second. Like, look, going back to my initial point, you don't have to listen to anything I have to say to you. In fact, what I say, you should go back and double check it. That makes a lot more sense. So what's the need to show anybody anything about anything? Because they really should be double checking it. If I sit here and I show you something, go and like I sell premium, right? Go and double check how selling premium works. See if you can identify something in that would be beneficial for you. And if you really want to know how to do it, you can come back to me and say, well, you sell premium. Can you just give me an idea of how you do that? And I will. And then you can go back and check that. And if it looks like what I told you works, then you've got a playbook. Why did any social proof have to come in? All of this stuff is public. You can verify everything by yourself. So why is it that this needs to be a thing? So, but there you go. But it is a thing. It's genuinely a thing. And people use it as a rationalizing technique. However, that's how the hero archetype influencer gets them, because then they get this social proof. It might be, and I've always said, well, how do you even know that the $1 million that influencer said they made was even made from what they're telling you? Because usually you can't see the process to that happening. All you see is the end result. It could be doing any bloody thing. It could be a freaking scam. It could be anything that's generating these problems. It could be any idea. It could be insider information. How the hell would you know? You won't. All you see is the end result. Now, unless you're literally physically in an office with someone trading together in that office, that's the only way you're going to see essentially what their P&L curve is. But good luck, even in physical prop firms, people don't tell people how much they're making. You might have an idea because one day you popped over and you saw the screen and you go, whoa, dude, is that what you're making? But beyond that, you might not even know. That information might not be privy to you because it's really down to that trader to tell you or not to tell you. And you're both in the same bloody office, let alone it's not over online. So it's the whole notion of social proof is pretty much pointless. But it's nice to put up maybe a position and say, oh, I'm doing this. And that's good because at least you're trying to quantify a few things. But that consistent drive for social proof in order for people to make a step or a decision in their own life around trading, that's just crazy. I just don't understand it. Because through my own journey, I don't ever recall asking anyone to see how much money they have in their bank account or how much money they're making. It's just not a thing. Because there is no evidence that because that person's making that, I was going to make that. I just knew what I wanted logically from trading and understood that trading will probably give me that. I just need to find something that worked for me. And if I was looking at a mentor, it was because from what they're demonstrating, it did look like, okay, this person or individual has a viable idea, but I probably need to test it all out myself. But let me start and take a playbook and then I'll start doing the necessary work required. Because I'm not lazy. I can do the work. So why am I going to be worrying about what someone else is making or what they ain't making? But social proof is an example of how herd mentality develops, because if I can keep creating this idea that I'm this millionaire trader, then inevitably you're going to develop a herd, right? Because people want that, but that can't be the image that you paint if you want people to learn and become better traders, because it's just going to create a lot of anxiety, and at least that's what I see. So I wanted to touch on that because we're talking here about herd mentality and getting around it. So the second aspect of it is stop looking for social proof from influencers, because they're going to lock you into that wheel. Stop looking at famous investors and tweets of famous investors to decide what your decision-making curve is going to be as a trader. You need to do your own work. And that's what it is, right? So I'm just going to, at the moment, just going to pop up my profile chart here, right? So talking about herd mentality, this is the S&P 500, right? So I've, using my own brain, my own analysis, my own ideas, zoom out of the profile, I have marked out weekly values where we're likely to get rejections, where there's going to be recoveries, and I've mapped it out. So I'm building my own playbook. And everyone was concerned, and I can tell you this hands down, I got a message from a really big trader. This guy used to work in a bank, right? Not just any bank. I'm not going to name the names because people do follow me around and, you know, have access to my Substack and everything else. So I'm not going to say names. But this individual messaged me and said, "Oh, dude, what do you think?" Right? He's in the US, he's a big trader, knows what he's doing. And he messaged me and said, "Oh, what do you think?" Right? This market's going nuts. You know, but from what I'm looking at, I don't know. So I want a second opinion, right? And I thought, okay, let me break this down. Because he started to fall prey, because he's on social media a lot, despite being a big trader, he started to fall prey to the panic that set in when the S&P 500 started to tank, right? So once it started to tank, and it did this day, everyone panicked, right? But I can clearly see that this is a weekly value area. It's new value. We've got bid stack here against the week. If this market breaks in here and sells, and we don't get a rejection, then we probably have a problem. So really, you want to be concerned about the T period low, right? If that goes, then we're probably going to cut through the rest of value, but we also have a bid stack here. So there's a lot of protection on the way down. So the market was a bit exhausted, a lot of capitulation. I also sell option premium, so I can pretty much see the premiums are overextended about 70-80% from their previous implied volatility. So they've literally almost doubled in IV. So there's going to be a lot of option traders who are going to want to sell that IV for sure, right? So I've already got a few metrics that tell me that, well, the market's going to rally, right? It's just no way. We've already cut through one value at the time. And so I was like, you know what? We've done a complete value drop against the week. And then we're pushing another value. I was like, no, we're going to rally. So we got rejected out of this value. We rallied back up. And my response was, well, we're back over 5555. We're going to go through value again, right? It's a 70% value trade. Really simple. And it's against the week, so it's going to be a pretty big rally. And I said, what we want to hope for now is, can we cut back and re-enter new value, in which case we're going to rally back up to 5867, but we're not there and we've got an offer stack. So this is where we are though. So now we entered new value. We entered the old value again after we went up, took in some sell orders, we came back down, right? So now we're in this value. So my logic is, well, we have a weekly bid stack here. We've already been rejected in our period. So we should see a rally back, at least through, well, this is a minus development, so there's strong flow here. But let's say we cut through this and we've got an offer stack here. But what we really want to be able to see is a market rejecting this level the following day. And I put in my Discord, tomorrow's going to be a big day. Because if the market holds, right, so we open a major US session and it holds and we start to cut back, we're going to essentially have to rely on the weekly stack, which has already been tested. If we take out the R period, this whole stack's going to blow, and then we're going to go back down here, right? And that's going to cause panic because of herd mentality. But I know that, well, we got a fair price here, so that's a very likely thing to happen, if not today, but in some time in the future, because this market's got to be efficient, right? So the fair price is probably going to get traded, right? It's a naked POC, as we call it. But it's going to still be at the lower side of value, so there's going to be a propensity for people to want to buy, right? And even if we take out that level, we still have a bid stack here, and most of the individual stocks that I sell premium in, they're probably not going to react in the same way, because a lot of them already were rejecting more downside, even though the S&P was pushing more downside. And then you got a few other stocks like Apple that were really hugging the S&P, so they were being hurt. But if you were in stocks like AMD's up 4 to 5 points from when I initially started to accumulate it, because it's really good value. So not everyone's going to respond to that if you're an equities trader. If you're a futures trader, then you're just maybe playing the intraday. If you're looking for a swing play, it's still a decent level to start accumulating the S&P anyway. So if you're into the SPY stuff, then you're in a good position. So my response back to this gentleman is, I think we're pretty much in that capitulation territory. I don't think we're going to do any more lows. We might get some shock retreats, but overall, I think we're going to rally, we're going to go up. And that happened, and that's what it is. Now we're rejecting the old value. What I want to see is at least a trade through value, at least test out the offer stack. If this high goes, then we're threatening the initiating sellers here. The next thing you know, we're going to clip value. So now it becomes whether the offer stack will hold up. So this is the main resistance. The rest of it, it is what it is, right? I can clearly see there's been a lot of trading, a lot of rejection. Market's just not comfortable trading this value, and we're out of it. We've done a complete value trade to the top. What makes you think that by some miracle, we're just going to go lower, right? Because some influencer on social media said we're going to go lower. Of course, we could still go lower, but that's not how I make my decisions. I'm looking at the price action. I'm looking at the statistical benchmarks, and I'm using that to decide what I want to do. I'm not overcomplicating it. That's the thing. Even though I've got all these tools, I'm making it simple for myself. I'm not overcomplicating it. So so people who are looking for those ideas, what I've said to you, don't have to listen to. Does the market go through value 70% of the time? It certainly does. And all you have to do is get a market profile tool, set it all up, get on a weekly profile, do your value areas, and then do some back testing. See what results you get. And then you come back to me and say, oh boy, that was interesting. So I'm not asking you to follow me. I'm just saying, do that. So we have to be very conscious, right, of herd mentality. It will completely wreck and destroy your trading. Anyway, to my next video. Adios.
Hey, listen, I quit. Yeah, I'm going into stocks.
Name of the game. Move the money from your client's pocket into your pocket. But if you can make your client's money at the same time it's advantageous to everyone, correct? No.
No one is paying attention.
It's unbelievable.
Have to act now.
God, this is intimate. I feel like I'm financially inside of you or something.
Okay.
I have 5 houses and a condo.
I'm considering going long on April wheat. What do you think, Valentine?